We're all entitled to our delusions. Look at me! I'm an anime boy on the internet! I haven't heard anything from her for quite some time, but this was sent to me, and apparently the British Supreme Court provided this decision regarding trans rights. But so here's the thing, right? I don't exactly know what happened here, but whatever happens, right, when a Supreme Court makes a decision, it becomes the cornerstone of every decision of the lower court out there. So if we're talking about trans right, this means it would include, from bathrooms to sports. For example, a trans man might sue a restaurant for not having an inclusive bathroom. Whatever happens, the lower court will base its decision according to what the Supreme Court said. So, if a trans kid wants to get into women's sports or something, or vice versa, and of course, he or she sues, the court will then decide based on this particular decision.
Take a look at this. Listen to this.
Here are the questions from the actual people. For Douglas, what is your reaction to the UK Supreme Court declaring that the definition of a woman is, well, we should include you in this too. It's about women, is based on biological sex and excludes transgender people. Yeah, this was a big ruling. This.
Oh my God, that's big. Excludes transgender people. So biology is the basis. So that means no matter what happens, every time a trans person sues for inclusivity, from restaurant bathrooms to actual sports, this will be the basis of a decision that, the court can simply say, you're not included in this list. I mean, that's how it works within the rules of statutory construction. Or statutory construction is basically the subject or how the court or lawyers should interpret a particular ruling or a particular set of laws or provisions of law.
This week in England,
big deal.
The Supreme Court,
Very
their
big
definition
deal.
of woman
It
is biological sex. To put it in shorthand, J.K. Rowling won.
Why is J.K. Rowling in the middle of this? I mean, I know there's been this big hullabaloo regarding Hogwarts Legacy, which I played, by the way. Awesome game. What exactly did she say that was so detrimental to trans rights? I remember back in 2023 when the whole thing was rolling because of Hogwarts Legacy, I remember researching as to what exactly is it that she said, or what exactly is it that she posted on Twitter that was so detrimental to trans people. Again, can someone please put it down in the comments?
She did. She actually did. Yep. That was funny.
Well, she didn't win anything, if and any. You could simply say that the Supreme Court sided with her.
Yes.
But then again, she's not involved in the case, right? It was merely a matter of declaratory relief, as with regards to the basis of sex or the basis of gender.
Rowling won. Everyone who said this for years has won. All the, particularly women who've been defamed and lied about and bullied and chased and much more for years, they were right. And
Fucking based.
Yeah.
And I just think, apart from being a statement of the obvious, isn't it amazing that the best legal minds in Britain spent years having to work out the first thing we knew as a species?
Yep, that's right.
Oh, look at that smile. I don't think she's happy about this decision.
But just to be clear,
I mean, he's right though. One of the first few artworks that I was ever discovered was the statue of Venus. And the statue of Venus was this somewhat pregnant lady, or pregnant looking lady, which is supposedly portrays fertility.
we're not saying there's not such a thing as trans, right? We're not saying there's not such a thing as someone who is, quote unquote, born in the wrong body.
No one's saying that there's no such thing as trans. We're all entitled to our delusions. Look at me! I'm an anime boy on the internet!
I don't think people get born in the wrong body now.
Oh. I do.
I do.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a default setting for humans.
Yeah.
Like, we should acknowledge that. It's not
Yeah.
just every time there's a baby, ooh, who knows what the fuck it is. That's crazy.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I remember when this whole thing was at its peak, when the whole issue was at its peak, and their counter argument was that, are you a doctor? Are you a biologist? Then how do you know if that's a woman or a man? I mean, guys, check this out, right? The counter argument is simple. You don't need to be a pilot to know that there is something wrong when a plane smashes into a building. No, you don't need to be an air controller to know that there's something wrong with that thing. You don't need to be a veterinarian to know the difference between cats and dogs. That was their argument. It was so hostile. Are you a doctor? Are you a biologist? I mean, I've seen tons of videos like that. And how do you know if it's a girl or a boy? How do you know if it's a man or a woman? Guys, again, cats and dogs, you don't need a degree in order to, well, have common sense.
There are,
Beyond me, yeah.
but there are variations.
There are variations.
Homosexuality.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a continuum.
No one's denying that.
The premise of this is completely wrong. The reason why the premise is wrong is because it implies that a person shouldn't be able to choose what they're doing, and the only thing that matters is what is an extrinsic variable. It shouldn't, like, I don't care whether being gay is a choice or not. If you want to suck another dude's dick, that's
Go
your
for
right
it.
to do it. It's a free
mean,
country.
If you're both consenting adults, go for it. No one's stopping you.
You want to wear makeup and wear a dress and dress up like a girl and say
for
you're a
it.
girl, it's a free country. You should be able to do that. So the entire premise around whether you're born in the wrong body or not, I think subverts the truth is that even if
Oh,
you're
yeah.
not born in
Oh,
the
okay.
wrong...
So that's what the wrong premise is, that you were born in the wrong body. I mean, I guess what he's saying is that it's a gradual choice, that you grow into it, that, you know, you discover what you feel or what you are as you grow old. I remember there were these issues. There was this vid about this mom who literally pointed at her baby and said, he's gay. Our baby's gay. Our baby's trans. And I remember there were these memes. There was this picture of a little boy with a caption, please don't cut off my balls because I like the color pink. Or I like girly colors. It's like, parents were so fast to put on the labels on these babies based on what they know. I mean, yeah, I remember now. I remember the big issue about this thing is that there were a lot of kids who were getting like hormone blockers and some and other medical procedures in order to be trans or in order to basically change their gender. And the argument is that they should wait until they're 18 in order to change, because there were also videos coming out of these people who basically got the medical procedure done when they were too young to decide for themselves. Oh, okay.
wrong body, you should still have the right to do whatever the fuck you want with your body because it's your fucking body.
Now, question is, it's your body. I mean, remembering what the issues were like a couple of years back. At what age? There were videos that came out that, you know, some of them regret getting these medical procedures, whereas some I guess they were okay with it.
That's it. It's wrong. There's a lot of things that people do that I think are wrong. Fuck them. Let them do what they want.
Yeah, I mean,
And I don't like the premise of this, the fixation around did they choose to do this or not. It shouldn't matter whether they chose to do it. It shouldn't matter whether they were born with it or not, because if you're an adult, you should be able to make decisions about your life, and you shouldn't have the government
Adults.
making those decisions for you.
all right. So his argument is that if you're an adult, yep, it's your thing. But before we get ahead of ourselves here, what we're looking at is that this will not stop, you know, from trans people from being trans. It's just that every time they sue now, like, you know, they want to get into an all-female sports team, they want to get into bathrooms. The basis of the lower court's decision will be based on the Supreme Court's decision. The basis of their sex is their biology, which is either they were born male or female. That's it. This will not stop people from being trans or not.
agree, but leave the kids alone. So true.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's it.
I don't
Leave the
give
kids
a fuck.
alone.
Like you wanna suck dick, suck dick. You wanna dress up like a girl, dress up like a girl.
You're
you
right.
wanna dress up like a guy, do that too. Do
All
whatever the
yours.
fuck you want in your own time by yourself.
Yeah, see? Amen. Check this out. We are all entitled to our delusions, but by yourself. Alright? I can call myself Mr. Macho with 12-inch wiener, but it doesn't make it true. But guess what? I am entitled to that delusion to myself. I can't, force everyone else to call myself, to call me 12-inch macho wiener.
That's it. Being gay is not a gender anyway. No, but
Was it ever a gender? No, it was never a gender. I believe it was a preference to what exactly you wanted as a partner. I mean, you wanted the same sex. That was it, right? That was the definition. That is the definition that you prefer. In terms of romance, in terms of partnership, or in terms of love. You simply prefer the same sex.
argument is that people are born gay. And what I'm saying is that if you are born trans or you are born gay, that does not change my perspective on the issue, because ultimately a person has the right to free expression, and that is separate from what somebody's immutable characteristics are. Does that make sense?
I mean, that's why we're here right now, because of free expression, but just because you have free expression doesn't mean you get free acceptance. Like I said, we are all entitled to our own delusions, but we cannot force everyone else into accepting the said delusion.
You can't be born trans, though. I'm saying that that argument is irrelevant to me. Like, I don't care about that. It doesn't matter. Like, there's no, that doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, I think he's right on this one. It doesn't mean anything to
But
anyone.
it's how we handle that.
That's right.
I mean, and I think we would agree that children, and this is where America is now an outlier country. We're the only country that went full, and I guess Trump is reversing it, but certainly under Biden, who went fully toward that. Like, we don't care what age, kids can self-diagnose themselves. I mean, that to me was going way too far on this. Again, nobody just comes back to the sensible center.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the sensible center is that, like, you respect people, you trust parents, you let parents figure out what to do with their kids, and you don't need to.
No, it's not. You don't believe that at all. Like, if you were...
Yeah, I guess it's a good time to point out that not everyone is fit to be parents. There are videos out there of mom pointing at their kids. He's gay. No. There's this one video of his mom pointing out at his kid. He's gay. And then there's another one about, he has a boy. He dressed the boy up. I think the boy was like 4 years old. He's trans. No. There has to be a level here, in a sense that, not everyone is fit to be a parent. Not everyone is fit to raise a boy. Not everyone is fit to raise a girl. But you know what? We all do our best. And hopefully no one's balls gets cut off. I remember that meme. Oh my god. There was a little boy. I like the color pink. Please don't cut off my balls.
We're talking about kids consenting to doing anything that was sexual, you'd be immediately against it.
No.
If you're talking about kids consenting to get tattoos, you'd be immediately against it. If you're talking about kids consenting to do anything else with their body that could be considered exploitative, like, for example, child labor, you'd be against it as well. This is just a retarded false premise that nobody actually believes in, and you're using this give parents the option idea as if this is some kind of get out of jail free card for justifying the behavior. But the fact is that it's not. It never has been. There are dozens of examples of it not being an example. You used to be able to sell your kids. You know, the year it became illegal to sell your kids, my dad was still fucking alive. Okay, it wasn't that long ago.
But the
and
Great
that was
Depression?
another thing that now is against the law that you can't do. So the entire premise
You'd be liable for human trafficking if you set up another person.
that, oh, well, it's your kid, you can do whatever you want with your kid. That's not true, and she knows that.
No, you can't. By law, you can't do anything to your kid. It's just that the state or almost every constitutionally established country out there gives a wide berth as to what you can do to your kid, such as on the basis of religion, like circumcision.
This is totally stupid.
A bunch of politicians in Washington making decisions.
That is not the Democratic position.
It's not a bunch of politicians making decisions for kids. What do you mean it's not a bunch of politicians?
You could say this. You can't say the same actually for women trying to regulate women's bodies. Same issue with abortion and making the availability of contraceptives in bathrooms or something, or in states.
Well, I wonder what her position was on vaccines.
Yeah.
Oh, that's different. Of course,
I don't think
everything's
she
always
agreed
different
with this
whenever you
decision.
agree with it, which is why you can't make sweeping judgments like that. This is a stupid statement that's supposed to get people to clap because they don't want to have the government telling them what to do. But the fact is that she does want the government telling you what to do, but she just wants to be the one telling you what to do and not somebody else. That's the reason. It's just so one-dimensional and stupid that it's amazing that anybody can't see through this. It's hypocritical? Of course it is. It's hypocritical and self-serving.
Always has been. That's the point of government.
Well, that's my position.
Yeah, I'll listen to it again one more time.
Reversing it, but certainly under Biden,
Yeah.
who went fully toward that. Like, we don't care what age, kids can self-diagnose themselves. I mean, that to me was going way too far on this. Again, nobody just comes back to...
It's not to you, by the way. This is to 90% of the country. This is a sick, very deranged, small, single-digit percentage of people that think this is normal.
Yeah, I think the government made a mistake on this one, believing that the Twitter sphere is real. Believing that a noisy majority is what everyone wants. I mean, we're going back to that military ad about the girl with two moms. I mean, who convinced all those generals that this was the consensus right now? I mean, being the commander-in-chief, the ruling regime or the ruling government or the ruling party has a lot of leeway as to what direction a country and its military can take. Yeah, we're talking about a very noisy majority right now. And apparently, the British Supreme Court shut it down.
Sensible center.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the sensible center is that, like, you respect people, you trust parents, you let parents figure out what to do with their kids, and you don't need a...
Again, going back, not everyone is fit to raise children. You can probably trust some parents, but not all. Especially those moms who've been forcing their kids to be trans or forcing their kids to be gay.
A bunch of politicians in Washington making decisions.
That is not the Democratic position, at least here in
An
California.
outrageous oversimplification,
Yeah.
an intentional oversimplification, in order to make people think that the government doesn't make millions of decisions like this for people. I think it is outrageous, absolutely fucking out. She's a moron. Well, she is saying the thing that she has
I don't think she's a moron. I think she's just being political. Being true to her party.
to say.
Sure.
She is a Democrat senator from Minnesota, right? In my opinion, I wonder how many immigrants that they have over there from Mexico or wherever else, South America, and I wonder what her viewpoints on that are. It's probably it's intellectually dishonest. Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy. And so there you go. That's it, bro. You got it. Yeah, it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Dan Patrick assaulted a reporter. What a fucking lot. That's Tim Walz's turf. Yeah, I guess so. And she's sitting on a political fence. Minnesota has a massive migrant population. Is that true? I wasn't aware of that. If that is true, I didn't know that. I actually assumed the opposite. So I could be wrong. But anyway, let's see here if I can find the rest of it. But yeah. And we refer to as Minnesotans. Tim Walz is an idiot. Yeah, I guess so. But either way, yeah, the Supreme Court ruled that a woman is a woman.
Yep.
Can you believe that? That's crazy.
I'm sorry,
Wow.
they were glomming on over... They went on the whole tangent about immigration over... over a couple of minutes there.
Wow.
There's a hyperpolarization happening among the younger generation that's substantially more pronounced than the older
Big word, hyperpolarization.
generation.
So, what exactly are they polarized about, or what exactly is the younger generation divided about?
And the younger generation is substantially more considering violence than the older generation did.
Well, that's because the younger generation feels like voting doesn't work. That's the problem, is that, so...
I disagree with that particular point that voting doesn't work. Because Trump won. People were fed up with the Democrats. I mean, that was their basis. Trump won, and it sort of worked, I guess. Because check this out, right? We were talking about a noisy minority, but now we could definitely say that the silent majority won. If we're going to compare it to that military ad we saw previously, the whole thing is over. And the British Supreme Court just stamped it out. Who exactly are this group of youths or younger generation that are considering violence? Because apparently the majority simply voted for Trump. I mean, are we talking about Antifa or something? Because the elections definitely won. They were fed up with Biden. They were fed up with his agenda. I mean, I believe this all started with Barack Obama, the repeal of the don't ask, don't tell policy. People were fed up, so they went to Trump, and then they went to Biden, and now they went to Trump again. So, no, I don't believe that this particular generation is fed up or is willing to do violence for the simple reason that they don't believe that voting isn't working. Because votes definitely work. They shifted to Trump, they shifted to Biden, then they shifted to Trump again. So they can definitely shift policy based on their votes. So, why exactly are these youths that are willing to do violence right now? Which side are we talking about?
This is the big issue, is that, so number one, obviously you have like media and things like that push it. But whenever you have to choose between a douchebag and a turd sandwich every 4 years, and then maybe every once in a while you think that you're going to get what you want and then you don't. Obama promises change and then changes his mind with like ending the wars and like, Afghanistan and stuff.
Yeah.
This is going to...
If I remember correctly, he even added troops. He completely did the opposite.
Frustrate a lot of people. Yeah, that's it.
So when you look at the polls, it's really interesting how the polarization expands.
I can see that.
Yeah. So, I would say like the bulk of our viewers are probably in their 30s. So we have 18-year-olds too, but they're a smaller percentage, but basically 25 to 54 who watches us.
Right. So, yeah, he has the same people that watch me. Yeah, that's the same thing.
Got a lot of people in their 30s.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is, and this is true for people on the left or right, doesn't matter who you are, someone's going to take something you said, it's going to be pulled out of context.
Of course.
Okay.
And then it makes people
Always
go nuts.
happens.
So, there's so many of these things that are absolutely wild for me. So I don't have the worst of it. There's other people in media that have it substantially worse than I do. Their Wikipedia pages are just rife with weird, fake nonsense that's made up.
I mean, I just don't feel like anybody
I miss smoking.
in this country can even presume that what people think about them is anywhere near the truth.
No, the thing is, same goes for Republicans. No, and I think that's the case. Is that I think that people have become tired of how cumbersome the political process is, and how often they vote for something and then they don't get it. And it's like, if all the people want this, but there's some system or some rule that says...
I mean, the political process has always been cumbersome. That is the gift and the blessing of democracy. You need to fight for what you want. And fight, I mean, get as many votes as you can.
Says that we can't have it. Well, why can't we just change the system or the rule? Because ultimately, like, the system or the rule was made by people, so why can't you unmake that rule? And so...
Because what exactly is the alternative to democracy? I mean, guys, if you have any suggestions as to what exactly is the alternative to democracy, please put it down in the comments.
And that no way, right? Exactly.
Vox Populi.
And I think that's the main reason why people are fucking annoyed.
Thank you for watching, guys. So if you want me to check out other stories here on YouTube, please let me know in the comments. We upload on the weekends, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Also, check out our Twitch channel where you can watch me do this live. And please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do the whole notification button thing to help me out with the algo, and class dismissed.